When Smash Ultimate announced that it would be featuring every single fighter from across the franchise, one of the characters to return back to the game was Young Link, last seen in Melee before getting supplanted by Toon Link in the subsequent Brawl and Smash 4. Like with most returning fighters, Pichu, Pokemon Trainer, Ice Climbers to name a few, the majority of them were given considerable improvements to make them more competitively viable, generating quite a bit of hype and enthusiasm over how strong they would be. In a similar fashion to those characters, Young Link's return to Smash was met with a fair degree of optimism, and in the early days of the game, everyone was under the impression that among the three Links, Young Link would be the best owing to just how much more practical he was in many respects. And while none of those aspects have particularly deflated over time, what has dropped off is the number of people who play him. In fact, Young Link standing in the tier list has dropped off to a point where most people who used to regard him as a high tier or even a top tier character now find themselves hard pressed to call him anything better than a mid tier. It has even gotten to a point where Toon Link, once believed to be the weakest among the three Links, is not only the strongest, but the more prevalent one. What exactly happened in between then and now to cause Young Link to decline both in popularity and performance? We'll be investigating that in today's Why No One Plays episode. A good place to start would be to find out what are the main distinctions between all three Links. While by and large they share the same fundamental win condition of using a combination of projectiles and attacks to follow up on said projectiles, where they truly differ is of course their properties. As the eldest and tallest, Link has the longest attack range and highest overall power of the three, but in exchange his speed and frame data are definitively the worst, being far less mobile and or quick to press buttons. Young Link is the polar opposite, trading a bit of power and noticeable range for significantly faster frame data on his attacks, fast enough to make him a veritable boxer. Toon Link on the other hand focuses less on power, speed and range, and instead is more about movement and utility, but today we're mostly talking about Young Link. Prevailing wisdom places great emphasis on speed and fighting games. Faster attacks allow you to cancel out slower ones by inducing hit stun onto your target, and is a universal factor for why heavyweights typically have a hard time finding success in Smash. As such, Young Link was evaluated more favorably than Link for having the same arsenal of projectiles and combos into them, but being way, and I emphasize way faster at doing them. The overwhelming majority of his attacks carry single-digit frame data and very low end lag, allowing him to make liberal use of them at minimal exposure to himself. For instance, neutral and back air both come out extremely fast, and alongside forward air have the privilege of all being -3 on shield or better. While not as safe, up air also has a ludicrous frame 5 startup. His special moves also play into the whole save to mash motif. Fire Arrow is by far his most notorious attack, having extremely fast startup and practically non-existent end lag, giving him the ability to basically turbo spam them in neutral. And with the knockback angle sending you straight upward, it leads into just about any follow-up he wants, provided he's not too far away. The spam ability of his neutral B is shared with his side B as well. While nowhere near as quick to rapid fire, it too has a fairly consistent upwards angle, giving Young Link an easy way to lead into it. Further, Young Link's version of spin attack is a combo one, the ground one having a low knockback angle that also sends you straight up, making it easy for him to follow up with the neutral up or back air at low to mid %. More frustrating with his specials than how comboable they are is how safe they are. Generally, the counterplay to most projectiles is to be close to the target, since most of the time you can punish them with an out of shield option, or potentially you could try to whiff punish them by jumping over them. In the case of Young Link though, his arrows are so fast that even if you're in a position to punish him, he'll be able to get away. It's even more egregious on Boomerang, being -8 at worst and -4 at best on shield. Essentially, Boomerang's unpunishable by the majority of the cast. It would be no exaggeration to say that Young Link is the one most capable of mashing among the three Links, a trait that no doubt contributed to his early popularity. At a glance, much of what you would expect to see in a top-tier character are present within Young Link. He has a powerful neutral game consisting of a barrage of fast projectiles that not only rack up a measurable amount of damage, but any one of them, arrow, boomerang, and bomb, can lead into a strong aerial follow-up that can and will kill you, most common of which being forward or up air. He is an incredible out of shield game if we go strictly by actionable frame data. Frame 7 nair out of shield, frame 9 back air out of shield, frame 8 up B out of shield, frame 10 up smash out of shield, and if he's holding a bomb, then you have a frame 8 item toss out of shield. Given how much safer aerials are across the board in Ultimate, being able to shake off pressure with a fast response out of shield is of paramount importance in this game. Of course, speed goes along with it. Fast close quarters boxing tools can give Young Link a huge advantage, especially when used in conjunction with his numerous projectiles, forcing opponents to approach in a more limited fashion. Ordinarily, zoners tend to struggle with poor frame data to balance out their wider threat range, so being a zoner with incredibly fast attacks was a big plus to Young Link, just like how Pac-Man was thought of as a top tier for the exact same reason. Although somewhat unfortunately, much of what caused Pac-Man to fall off in popularity happens to be what caused Young Link to fall off too. First and foremost, Young Link is not actually a true zoner by my definition. I know I just called him a zoner 10 seconds ago, and to some extent he is. Anyone with a comprehensive projectile game like his can be classified as such. But for me anyway, I only consider a character a zoner if their zoning by itself can facilitate all 3 phases of the game, low percent, mid percent, and kill percent. To better visualize, even though Wolf has a great projectile in the form of Blaster which can do a lot of zoning for him, since Blaster itself is only conducive towards early and mid percent as a damage racking option and unable to actually lead into a kill in high percent, Wolf is not a zoner. On the other hand, someone like Samus would be a true zoner because their charge shot can be used to rack up damage in early to mid percent and lead into a kill at higher percent. Basically, at least one of their projectiles has to reliably kill in order for me to call someone a zoner. Of course, many zoners use projectiles to combo into something that can actually kill, and in the case of Youngling, like I said, all 3 of his projectiles make for an easy setup into a kill when they land. But just for the sheer fact that killing on Youngling is a 2-step plan instead of 1 step, there is room for inconsistency, and in the case of Youngling, his biggest issue would be how difficult it can be to actually score a kill. Ironically, more difficult than the other 2 links. Among the 3, Youngling has the lowest amount of raw killing options. I say raw killing in terms of knockback scaling. Very few of Youngling's attacks have enough kill power to reliably threaten his stock. To give you an example, both Toon Link and regular Link's forward tilts are great tools to use at the ledge and can both lead into a kill at reasonable percents. Comparatively, Youngling's F tilt can't really be used to kill as effectively, especially given that it has the sour spot at the tip, worsening its effective range. Another example would be Up Special. Both Link and Toon Link's up Bs are known for their strong kill power and their usefulness in callouts. Toon Link in particular can use Up Special to catch out neutral getup, roll, or jump getup when used at the ledge, owing to being one of the few always active hitboxes. By contrast, Youngling's Up Special, the grounded one at least, is primarily a combo tool. While for the most part every Link relies on her bread and butter projectile into forward air to close out stocks, simply having a few less options to kill opponents makes it much more constraining to find stocks on Youngling. Why this matters so much is because the less killing moves you have, the easier it is for the opponent to look out for the situations that can lead into the few kill moves you do have. In the case of Youngling, upwards of 90% of his main ways to kill someone involve his projectiles and down tilt, meaning if you can play around those, he effectively loses most if not all of his kill pressure. There may be instances where Youngling can find strong kill confirm setups, the most noteworthy of which being the combo string that Super Semi did to Spargo at Gamescom.
Oh my god!
But most of the time otherwise, Youngling is gonna have to rely on basic 1-2 confirms to close out your stock. By that logic, if you can play around the 1, it becomes noticeably easier to avoid the 2, especially when accounting for the second reason behind Youngling's drop in popularity. Youngling is a fast character in frame data only. What makes it difficult for him to pressure consistently is the fact that he doesn't really have the mobility to compound his speed. Though he may be a fast faller, Youngling has the same issue that Falco does, wherein he moves quickly vertically but horizontally not so much. This actually happens to be the primary distinguishing factor between Youngling and Toon Link. Toon Link is extremely nimble. That dwarf's a freaking termite, deceptively fast ground speed, and though he's quite floaty, it's compensated by great airspeed and acceleration, allowing him to drift around a lot. Toon Link's actually better at following up into bomb and boomerang because of it. Even if Youngling's able to land an arrow or boomerang or bomb, he has to be relatively close to you to capitalize on it. He also doesn't have many easy ways to approach either. The best tool at his disposal is approaching fire arrow, but even that can get snuck out quite easily by a big enough disjoint or someone approaching from above. That doesn't usually get in the way of his performance, given that having projectiles removes the onus of needing to approach. You can just make your opponent approach you. But once again, problem 2 builds off problem 1 wherein none of Youngling's projectiles can actually kill on their own, meaning unless your goal is to play for a time at win condition, Youngling has to approach eventually, and though he may have exceptional boxing tools and close quarters options, a poor approach game makes it easy for opponents to respond against him, and more importantly stop him from even getting close to begin with. Having low horizontal mobility only further exacerbates the other big problem with the character. He is by far the stubbiest of the 3 links. So stubby in fact that you'd be hard pressed to even call his sword a disjoint. Apart from his projectiles, Youngling's a very honest character in terms of range. None of his attacks have hitboxes that stretch any farther than his actual sword. To give you an idea just how little they gave him, I'm gonna have Ann put up their up airs on screen. Unsurprisingly, adult Link has a big sword, so his up air points decently high above him, not to mention that he essentially leans back to make it a full disjoint. Toon Link on the other hand gets a lot of extra space on his up air. The middle hurt box makes no sense honestly, and it even extends past the actual blade itself. Now, look at Youngling's. Pretty small, right? Just comparing Toon Link and Youngling together, it's abundantly clear which one is the bigger one. An even more apt example would be Youngling's snare compared to regular Link's. Youngling's snare is one of the stubbiest snares in the game. You can be right next to him and he can still miss, all the while you got the most bullshit nair hitboxes in the game on adult Link. When your hitboxes are that small, it practically diminishes the functionality of Youngling's frame data. Even if the opponent has slower attacks, 9 times out of 10 they can simply snuff Youngling out with a bigger attack. It doesn't even have to be a massive disjoint like Lucina or Clouds. Any attack with a remotely decent hitbox can potentially outrange him. Such poor range makes it so Young Link has to full send into you if he wants to hit you with it, further exposing him to getting punished by enemy responses. And when factoring a low variety of killing options, average kill percents on opponents can easily extend past 150. Towards the later stages of Ultimate's metagame, speed and frame data, while still valuable mind you, have taken a back seat in favor of safety and control. The best characters in the game currently are those who can pressure their opponent in ways that can either eliminate their counter options or minimize exposure to prevent getting punished altogether. Kazuya is so strong because half his attacks make him intangible, preventing him from getting punished or outboxed most of the time. Steve is the best character in the game since he can literally engineer the environment to favor him over you. Young Link can most certainly apply pressure to you without exposing himself with his projectiles, but compared to other characters, he just doesn't get enough mileage out of it. Fire Arrow gets complained about a ton for how fast, spammy, and combo heavy they are, but if Young Link is across the stage, it might as well just be a Falco Blaster, a minor inconvenience at worst. Now, if the opponent is stupid enough to recklessly approach into Young Link's army of arrows and boomerang, then yeah, you just played into his hands. But in the present stage of Ultimate's metagame, you're either a Kazuya or Sonic, one-shotting or hard camping, no in between. Playing as Young Link can therefore be a test of mental endurance, not unlike how I mentioned playing Pac-Man. In a way, Young Link has to play kind of like Sonic, playing super campy and forcing opponents to approach by tilting them hard enough. But if they can out-camp you and make you approach, or they actually know how to deal with you, life becomes a lot more difficult for him. Young Link's very much a neutral-focused character in a landscape where other characters can straight up destroy you off a single neutral interaction, or never interact with you altogether. I think the reason Toon Link is doing better than Young Link despite it being the other way around in the past is because Toon Link's playstyle lends itself better towards Ultimate's late stage meta. Granted, Toon Link's also stubby, but one thing he has that Young Link kinda doesn't is control. Toon Link's projectiles are distinct in that they travel very slowly, but since they travel slowly, that also means they last a long time. As a result, in neutral, Toon Link can render entire sections of the stage inaccessible for his opponent, which in tandem with this mobility allow him to maneuver around their threat radius a lot better and shut out their points of entry. From my personal experience having fought against Toon Link and Young Link a fair bit of time separately, I find Toon Link to be much more scary at the ledge than Young Link, namely because of the aforementioned forward tilt and up B. Same applies to Link. Yes, New Jersey is all three links, believe it or not. Remote Bomb is one of the scariest things to deal with at the ledge. Overall, the easiest way to explain why Young Link doesn't get played as much as people expected him to be played is that he doesn't have much in his kit that simplifies the game. A lot of elements that could simplify the game's state like Fire Arrow and Boomerang are made complicated by the fact that he doesn't have the speed or range to lead into consistent combos, whereas on Toon Link or even regular Link it's made more practical or consistent due to them having the mobility and or range to make it more guaranteed. Altogether, Young Link's a good example of a character that's really good on paper but made less practical in application. He's like Shulk in that way, he has potential but that potential is too hard to tap into. Either that or people just don't want to put in the work to do it. What do you guys think about Young Link? Do you agree with the points I made, or do you think it's something else affecting his popularity? Let me know in the comments down below. That's it for today, so if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and check out my other Why No One Plays episodes if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
Ray, hold the phone.
The money's calling, and you gotta pick up. Hold the phone.
Dude, he's
number two,
cooking.
into the
He's
sex
cooking,
kick.
going through the blender, the
Hold
Dutch
up.
blender. Oh my goodness. Okay, back-to-back spot dodges to avoid both projectiles.
Oh my
right?
God!
He's still heading
Oh my God!
Is he going?
No way!
By that!
That takes the game!
Oh my